Every day, millions of people around the world scroll through their social media feeds. Whether it's Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, these platforms are now a part of daily life. But here's the shocking part: social media has more power than most people realize. Did you know that during the 2016 US election, social media ads reached over 120 million Americans, many of whom were targeted with highly specific messages designed to influence their vote? Or that, according to MIT, fake news spreads 70% faster than real news? In this video, we'll dive into the truth behind social media's influence on democracy. Can it really strengthen our political systems, or is it driving us further apart? From dangerous misinformation campaigns to viral movements that spark real-world change, we'll explore how social media is shaping modern politics in ways you might not expect. Stick around as we uncover the shocking facts and strategies that could determine the future of democracy itself. Chapter 1: Social media burst onto the scene with a promise to revolutionize democracy. Back in the early days, platforms like Facebook and Twitter were seen as the new public square. They allowed anyone, anywhere, to share their voice. Politicians could connect directly with voters without needing a middleman. Social media gave everyone a platform, and that was a game changer for democratic engagement. But as the platforms grew, so did the complexity of their impact. In 2008, Barack Obama's presidential campaign showed just how powerful social media could be in rallying people. His team used Facebook and Twitter to engage millions of young voters, making history in the process. Social media seemed like the perfect tool to strengthen democracy, allowing voters to stay informed and participate in debates. Yet, there's a dark side. Platforms like Facebook and Twitter quickly became tools for manipulation. Social media became a battleground for truth, where fake news spread faster than verified facts. A 2018 study by MIT found that false information spread 70% faster than true information. This was a major blow to democracy, where informed citizens are the backbone. The question is, could social media still be a tool for good, or has it become a vehicle for division and falsehoods? Some experts argue that the digital revolution has only deepened political polarization. The more we scroll, the more we are fed content that confirms our views, trapping us in bubbles. This is where things get tricky. While social media was supposed to make us more informed, it has arguably made us more divided. In 2019, a study from the Pew Research Center showed that nearly 64% of Americans felt that social media platforms caused increased political polarization. Instead of being a tool to foster democracy, it seems social media has become a tool for chaos. It's evident that social media, once seen as a savior for democracy, might be on the verge of sabotaging it. Chapter 2: If you think you're choosing what you see on social media, think again. The real decision maker is the algorithm. It's the invisible force that decides what shows up in your feed. Social media platforms don't just show you random posts, they show you the posts they think will keep you scrolling. Algorithms are designed to maximize user engagement. This means that content that triggers emotional responses, like outrage or fear, gets pushed to the top. In a study published by Science in 2021, researchers found that social media algorithms often prioritize divisive and sensational content. This creates a feedback loop where users are constantly exposed to extreme content. The result? A society where people aren't just informed, they're emotionally manipulated. And while these algorithms keep people engaged, they also shape public opinion in powerful ways. During the 2016 US presidential election, social media manipulation was at an all-time high. Foreign actors, like Russia's Internet Research Agency, used algorithms to target ads and spread disinformation. But the algorithm's influence doesn't end with politics. In 2020, The Guardian reported that Instagram's algorithm promoted unhealthy body image content to millions of young users. These algorithms, though designed for user engagement, have dangerous consequences for mental health, political integrity, and even democracy itself. Can we fix this? Some experts say that transparency is key. If users knew more about how algorithms work, they could make more informed decisions about what to believe. Others believe we need regulation to stop platforms from using manipulative tactics. Either way, the algorithm's control is a huge issue for social media's role in democracy. Chapter 3: One of the most damaging effects of social media is the creation of echo chambers and filter bubbles. In simple terms, these are virtual spaces where users are only exposed to ideas that align with their existing beliefs. These bubbles distort our understanding of the world and make it harder to see different perspectives. Echo chambers happen because social media platforms rely on algorithms to show us content we're likely to agree with. Over time, this reinforces our beliefs. In fact, a study by The Atlantic in 2019 found that social media users are more likely to follow accounts that share their views than to engage with opposing ideas. This creates a cycle of confirmation bias where we hear what we want to hear and see what we want to see. The problem with this is that it limits the scope of public debate. Without diverse opinions, we start to believe that everyone thinks like we do. This makes it easier for politicians and interest groups to manipulate public opinion. A report from the Oxford Internet Institute found that political polarization in the US has increased dramatically due to social media's role in reinforcing people's biases. In 2018, Facebook attempted to address this by tweaking its algorithm to prioritize posts from friends and family over news articles. However, this move actually worsened the echo chamber problem. It turns out that people are more likely to see political posts that align with their beliefs when shared by friends and family, making them feel even more justified in their opinions. Interestingly, research shows that these echo chambers aren't just limited to political content. They also affect our beliefs on climate change, vaccines, and even basic facts. The more we interact with like-minded people, the more we're reinforced in our views, even if they're false. The danger here is that these isolated worlds make compromise and consensus harder to achieve. Experts argue that for democracy to thrive, we need to break free from our filter bubbles. But how? Some say it starts with diversifying our social media feeds, seeking out content that challenges our beliefs. Others suggest that social media platforms need to redesign their algorithms to promote a more balanced variety of ideas. Whatever the solution, echo chambers are one of the biggest threats to democracy in the digital age. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the influence of social media on democracy and politics. Hit the bell to stay updated on our latest content. Chapter 4. Trust is the foundation of any healthy democracy, but trust in social media has been steadily eroding. In the early 2000s, social platforms were seen as a way to democratize information. But as scandals and data breaches piled up, people started to question their reliability. A 2020 Pew Research survey found that only 3 in 10 Americans trust social media platforms to deliver accurate political news. The biggest blow came with the Cambridge Analytica scandal in 2018, when it was revealed that Facebook allowed a political consulting firm to harvest data from millions of users without their consent. This incident highlighted just how vulnerable our personal information is, and how easily it can be manipulated for political gain. Since then, trust has been in freefall. In 2019, a study by Edelman showed that 63% of global respondents felt that social media platforms were doing more harm than good, but it's not just about data breaches. The rise of misinformation and fake news has also contributed to this crisis. A study by the European Commission found that 75% of Europeans felt that social media platforms were unsafe for political content. This perception has only deepened as platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube continue to struggle with moderating harmful content. So, can social media ever be trusted again? Some believe that the key to rebuilding trust lies in transparency. For instance, social platforms could release detailed reports on how they moderate content, track disinformation, and safeguard user data. Others argue that regulation is needed to hold companies accountable for their actions. Without stronger safeguards, social media may continue to be seen as a dangerous force in democracy. The reality is that trust doesn't come easily. It's something that needs to be earned over time. As long as social media companies remain opaque and focused on profit rather than users' well-being, regaining public trust may be nearly impossible. Chapter 5. Social media has proven itself as a powerful tool for activism. Hashtags like #MeToo, #BlackLivesMatter, and #ClimateStrike have brought attention to critical social and political issues. In many cases, these digital movements sparked real-world change, showing that social media isn't just about sharing cat videos, it's about shaping the future. In 2013, the #BlackLivesMatter movement exploded on Twitter, drawing global attention to police brutality and systemic racism. According to the Pew Research Center, 60% of Americans said that social media played a key role in raising awareness about racial issues in the US. This is just one example of how hashtags have created global conversations. The key to digital activism is its ability to mobilize people quickly and bring attention to injustices that may otherwise go unnoticed. In 2018, Time magazine recognized the #MeToo movement as one of the most influential moments of the year. The hashtag gave women a platform to share their stories of sexual harassment, and it led to tangible changes in workplaces, laws, and cultural norms. Thanks to social media, the conversation around gender inequality reached new heights, changing how society views harassment and abuse. However, digital activism isn't without its challenges. Critics argue that hashtag movements can sometimes feel performative, lacking the follow-through needed to create real, lasting change. In fact, a study by the Journal of Communication found that while many people engage with social justice issues online, very few take meaningful offline action, like protesting or donating. Still, the impact of digital activism cannot be dismissed. In 2019, research from the Oxford Internet Institute showed that online protests could pressure politicians to make policy changes. Social media platforms, when used strategically, can create a groundswell of support that traditional methods of activism can't always match. The question remains, can hashtags keep the momentum going in the real world? Chapter 6, the intersection of social media and politics is not just a battleground for public opinion, it's also a strategic tool for political power. Governments, political parties, and even foreign actors have discovered the potential to shape public opinion through social media. Whether it's through targeted ads, misinformation campaigns, or data manipulation, the influence of social media on politics has never been more pronounced. In the 2016 US presidential election, Russian operatives used social media to influence voters and sow discord. According to a report from the US Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, the Russian government spent millions of dollars on Facebook and Instagram ads aimed at inflaming divisions in American society. The ability to micro-target voters based on their interests, location, and behavior made these campaigns highly effective, and nearly impossible to trace. Closer to home, political parties around the world have been using social media to galvanize supporters. In the UK, the 2019 general election saw both major political parties make heavy use of Facebook ads. A study by The Guardian showed that the Conservative Party ran more than 25,000 targeted ads in just 1 month. This allowed them to reach key voters with highly tailored messages. But there's a darker side to this digital influence. In Myanmar, Facebook was used to incite violence against the Rohingya Muslim population, leading to the deaths of thousands. A 2018 United Nations report condemned Facebook for not doing enough to prevent hate speech and incitement to violence on its platform. This shows just how dangerous unchecked political influence on social media can be. Despite the power social media holds, there are calls for regulation and oversight. Experts argue that without some level of governmental intervention, social media platforms could continue to be abused as political weapons. While some governments, like in the European Union, are working towards stricter regulations, the challenge remains: how do you balance free speech with the need to prevent manipulation? In this new age of political influence, social media's role is undeniable. It's clear that these platforms are not just shaping public opinion, they're shaping the future of democracy itself. The question is whether they will be a force for good or a weapon for political control. Don't forget to subscribe for more insights on how social media impacts our democracy and politics. Stay updated by hitting the bell icon.